All right. Pretty new thing here. Joined by Eric Williams, who's becoming a level 3 ATG coach. We don't have many of those.
No, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Alyssa and I, as owners of ATG, want to know this guy really well and get him in to share his journey with you out there. Whether you're doing ATG or the main intended audience would be these ATG coaches out there. There's hundreds of coaches learning ATG, using it with their clients. But we'll just dive in.
Yeah.
Alyssa and I may come up with questions along the way. Like I said, haven't done many, if any, of these. So how'd you find ATG? And I think we'll kind of go from there.
I had a client. I was running a CrossFit gym for a number of years, and I had a client say, "Hey, you heard of this knees over toes guy?" I was, "No." And, showed me the stuff. I was like, "Oh, cool." I mean, at that juncture, you see one post and you digest it as, yeah, okay, there's lots of internet content out there. And then the algorithm gets a hold of you a little bit and starts, feeding you more and more. Yeah. And I started to notice something that caught my attention. I was like, there is a there. And I think the catalyzing moment for me was when I saw you dunk a basketball and then do the splits. Yeah. I thought, I've thus far come to understand that is impossible. You can't get both of those. And most people will never get one, much less both. But okay, so that's all well and good. But then to understand that you trained that was also, because if LeBron James opened a gym tomorrow, he would have a huge legion of followers based on he's amazing.
Yeah.
Did he train that, whatever. But you trained that. And so I was like, well, I would like those things. What is this all about? So I get involved in that and I started doing Zero. That was, at the moment, I think it was the only thing. It was just you'd made Zero and you made some content with some easy equipment. I started doing those things. I started noticing results, exposing my weak links, and there was kind of no going back from there. I mean, just dove in and started implementing these things in my gym and started changing my own fitness, reforming the way that I approach things, both in practice and principle, how I coach, how I communicated, and then slowly but surely just got more and more people on that cycle, on that paradigm. And that was 3-4 years ago at that point. And then
had to be like at least 4 years ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I remember talking to you, Alyssa, about how when the pandemic hit, you guys were like, we're going to go to Home Depot and we're going to get buckets.
That's exactly like right. Yeah. Yep. It was that day.
You guys figured it out. You knew what was coming and had the foresight to pop online. And so that, that's obviously where you went from just like, hey, yeah, I make stuff on social media and probably was all well and good to, oh, now we're making content and people are consuming this. So I got drawn into that and arguably the early stages of that. And there's kind of no looking back. It was just every single milestone changed the way I thought. Come out to Florida here. I mean, I think this is like my third or fourth time out to Florida or something like that. And, went to Sacramento and every single time was this iteration of, leveled up understanding, meeting new people, getting just, I don't use game changing lightly. I try not to just throw it around, but it was definitely a game changer for me.
Well, that's awesome to hear.
That's so cool.
It's an epic journey. And that's once you're L3 though, you're kind of changing the game for other people now too, which is really cool.
That's for sure.
But we had a funny story even of like first meeting so you're following it online, started doing the coaches training, we did the first public seminar. I did it for free at Mark Bell's gym and like hundreds of people showed up. And so we needed like coaches.
Yeah.
And so you came in like for free and he is driving up and you got a flat tire?
No, my head gasket blew up.
Okay.
So I basically lost my car that day.
Oh my goodness.
There was no coming back from that. Once it got towed, it was totaled. It was done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So my car was donezo at that moment. Yeah.
Well, still made it up to Sacramento. And then because of that was like, Alyssa and I had got hotel rooms for everybody.
Oh, that's right.
And so he wound up like crashing at my room because it wasn't
exactly right.
like, organized.
That's exactly.
So we ended up chatting a ton because the car.
That's right. I didn't know that the car was you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew the story. I just didn't know that was you.
Yeah.
Well, and now we've become insanely tight, partly because of this background that you have in CrossFit. I want to hear about that because like Alyssa and I are actually huge fans of so many things about CrossFit, and we try to learn a lot from CrossFit in relation to ATG. And as you know, we want you to use your experiences and actually help a lot of these people out there who want to make ATGs of their own with what you've learned. So open up that.
For sure. So in 2008 or 9, my brother exposed me to CrossFit. He showed me Every Second Counts. It was this almost underground DVD of like blood and guts. Have you guys seen Every Second Counts?
I remember it.
It's worth a watch. It's like it's just a turning point milestone in fitness, in my opinion. So anyway, it's, Every Second Counts. I'm like, what is this? This is crazy. This makes no sense. But it was the 2007 or 8 CrossFit Games, something like that. So fast forward a little bit, he gets into it a little bit more. He gets me into it. I wasn't even supposed to do this. Like, the fact that I'm here talking about fitness is like a total accident.
Oh, wow.
So we, we're talking and we're like, hey, let's start a CrossFit gym. So I was working at a public agency, like a bus company or something, doing like admin and HR. And so started that on the side. So we started this CrossFit gym. Ran that gym for 11 years.
Wow.
And basically got kind of like a scrappy boots on the ground MBA in the process.
Oh, wow.
And in turn had learned to actually really like fitness and what it offers and what it did for me, and just, attitude, mindset, and all that kind of stuff. So I just stopped doing what I was doing and went all in on fitness, even though I had I always tell people I kind of took the back door in. Like, I wasn't invited to this party. I'm not supposed to be here. But that's how I got into it. So, ran the gym for 11 years, mostly on the back of group training, got into personal training, again, quite literally by accident, because getting exposed to ATG and knees over toes and all this stuff, it just struck me as very one-on-one oriented for what I wanted to do with folks and all that kind of stuff. And so started running ATG style classes, pain-free classes, bulletproofing, all this kind of stuff. Eventually closed my gym, and now at present, I'm just doing exclusively one-on-one training that's largely, in principle, ATG content.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, just to say something, I'm not supposed to be in fitness either. I remember going to a Poliquin seminar for Ben and biosignature, and I was like the only person there that had nothing to do with anything. I came just to figure out how to do body fat measurements for Ben.
Sure.
And so...
Definitely explored a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Being not a great natural athlete. Alyssa was with me before I even started improving my knees at all. He didn't know I had painkillers like hidden in my car, and just like...
I literally found out about that like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
As he's like saying it on podcast, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But that's also something struck me too. And just talking to Eric, it's like, because of the way that you got into fitness, you have a unique perspective on it. Not necessarily that you have to be not a great natural athlete, but I think there's definitely something to it if you get into fitness in a unique way and become really passionate about it. But yeah, weren't necessarily the star high school quarterback. I don't know if you were or not, but
I was emphatically a bad athlete. Yeah. So for sure.
You're definitely having to learn uniquely about the body.
Yeah.
Gives you a lot of reality, I feel like, with clients. So it is what it is. For me, that was a blessing in disguise, was all the issues I ran into. So like, why am I so unlucky? Why am I like the most injured guy? Like, it's like, I would be asking myself that question, like, why me? Well, I don't know, turned it into an advantage. Not that we don't have fantastic coaches who are also great natural athletes, but you're definitely like personality wise, the intelligence, the why behind things. There's different personalities.
You can tell you had to work for it. Right. Because it didn't just come naturally, is what it seems like, that you had to work for it. You had to navigate through the different things. Yeah, you're a thinker because of that. And there's a lot of what I've found, people that are great athletes or great in honestly whatever that they do, because they weren't gifted in that area, that they had to persevere through tough times and figure out and think and overcome certain things to become the best in their areas, because it didn't just come naturally.
Yeah, for whatever reason, you've had insights on it, so that I didn't think of, even from my background. So you've had some unique insights on it, and let's dig into some of those. Let's face it, most people probably listening to this podcast are ATG coaches or thinking about it.
Yeah.
Or, and with all these coaches, as I faced, as you faced, owning a gym, personally training people. We see it now as just really different phases of life. These various phases can be awesome. Personal training, the money is a bit simpler. You train this person, you get this much money, versus owning a gym. But that's kind of what I want you to start touching on for the coaches listening, is like, if you're coaching people, that's one thing. If you own a gym, you're now more than just a coach.
Yeah, that would be great to hear.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the biggest problem with the coaching trajectory, if you will, is, so let's say you graduate high school or college and you're like, all right, I want to become a trainer. Okay. So you get your training certification and maybe you train a couple of friends and you go, okay, I'm going to go apply for a job at 24 Hour Fitness. Okay. I don't know what they charge, but I've talked with enough coaches where, you know, a lot of these folks are making like, I don't know, 20, 25, 30 bucks an hour or something like that if they're lucky. So you do the math and you go, wow, I don't know if I can really do this. And so you go, man, the gym's taking all my money. Well, I should just open my own gym. Seems logical enough. But then what ends up happening is you take on all of the burdens of a small business. And that is usually what most people don't intend to do. It just kind of happens by accident. That's exactly what I did. I signed a lease and bought equipment and opened up a space and was like, cool, now I can train people. And then didn't realize I had these 4 other hats to wear. So, you know, the marketing and the outreach and the retention, the cleaning of the place, the procuring of equipment, the budgeting, you know, all this kind of stuff. So people underestimate those tasks and then they end up doing 2 things pretty badly, or they, you know, they lean into the coaching and their business suffers, or they lean into the business and, you know, maybe they make some decent money, but they've got terrible reviews on Yelp or whatever it is. So having like a true bifurcation of how that goes down, I think most people don't think of. I was lucky that I started it with a partner, my brother, and he was the kind of technical guy. I was more the business guy. So I think we had a small leg up in terms of getting started. He focused on, he coached all the classes except 3, and I did all of the administration. So it was somewhat neat and clean. But let's say you go into it alone, you've got all these things that you got to take care of. And I'm a part of, you know, a number of Facebook groups and, you know, think tanks and all this kind of stuff. And what you run into over and over and over and over again is there is not enough money to be made on the back of the thing that you thought you were going to do. So you rent this space and I don't know how much it costs, but let's just say you rent it for, well, I'll use California prices. This space would probably cost you about $4,000 or $5,000. You're on a main street, maybe you pay a premium. So you go, okay, I've got to have this many clients.
That's how much it is here. I mean, but
we were just in California. It's like 10,000 for this now.
So I haven't rented a building in a while at this point. We were paying like $8,000 for our building. So, you know, you have to have X number of clients just to make rent.
Just to pay rent and then just to finish the rest of it. Lights on.
Yes. So you are working for free up to, let's say, 60 clients. And then 61 is when you first, well, now you can start paying your electricity. And, you know, so you magnify all that up and you go, okay, I need 115 clients at whatever rate I'm doing. And then I can afford to eat. And so then you extrapolate all the way to that to, okay, well, maybe I'd like to make $100,000 a year, or your income adjusted preference for whatever your area is. And I want to buy a house and I want to do all these things. And you go, wow, my friend who all the while, and this is self-reflection, this is true, you know, working through finance and the ranks and stuff, finds himself at the age of, let's say 35, making 150 grand, and he's working 45 hours a week. And I am 35 making arguably less than minimum wage.
Oh yeah.
And working 60, 70 hours, and I never see my now growing family. And so you go like, this is problematic. And that is unfortunately, I think, very common, that because I got into it not realizing I had to wear these other 4 hats and then just hope I can grind it out. All of a sudden 10 years goes by and I go, okay, well, that didn't actually go quite nearly as planned. I got lucky to the degree I found ATG. I pivoted, you know, pandemic was maybe blessing in disguise, and it sort of gave me an option to look at some different things. But anyway, the point is there's all of these things that you don't estimate are going to happen, and they will happen.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
And so going into that eyes wide open is number 1, but then number 2 is a lot of times people compete, essentially race to the bottom in fitness. So they go, well, we'll just do Groupon. The second I hear someone thinking of Groupon, I'm like, you have just started the first day of the end of your gym, because you just can't survive on that. So, there's this very messy, convoluted space, especially in the gym, care, health, yoga. All of these kind of micro industries face essentially the same problems for all the same reasons. Passionate people get into it. They don't realize what they're getting themselves into. Restaurants is actually surprisingly similar in this vein.
Yeah.
And they grind it out. They bleed to death, and then they just give up and they do something else.
I mean, Ben has not a parallel story, but he made no money when we had a gym. And that was what we went online for. I wanted to have a wedding ring, and we couldn't afford to have one. So, yeah.
There's the dark side.
Yeah.
But
yes,
we are problem solvers.
That's exactly right.
For example, Eric solved his problem.
That's right.
Now personally trains. Less headache. You mean less people. More money. Not to like toot ATG's horn. You're doing the work, but it's like compared to just running a set class, there's more potential personally to make income doing personal training. So now we go over the bright spots.
That's exactly right.
Of how you would rebuild, because like for me, I absolutely loved having a gym. I absolutely loved all the friends that I made.
Yeah.
And as we started to offer personal training, other ways of making money other than just the group class, all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, we're actually making money. And
that's true. That was the first step to getting money for our wedding.
I would start to personally train people to get money. It's like, whoa, people are paying me a lot of money to train. Like,
we had a wedding savings account that Ben personally training people. That was like how he would earn extra money.
Yeah. And the classes still kept booming along. Alyssa and I ran my personal favorite classes. We ran like a mom's class. So at around like 9 a.m. After moms would drop the kids off at school, Alyssa and I would run a class. So we were running, if you run a class pretty well at a decent price per class and you're doing personal training, all of a sudden the finances look completely different than what I had originally done, which was actually modeling off CrossFit's prices. So once I charged a bit more, but still accessible for a group class, that all of a sudden was like, oh, wow, that actually makes money.
Yep.
And personal training is like, oh, wow, that actually makes money. So in rebuilding, so like you're doing personal training now. So if you had to like envision, right, you have to envision and make how you would rebuild all the way down, because Eric and I chatted for like hours before this, and there's all these young, enthusiastic ATG coaches.
Yep.
They need work of some sort.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a real thing that if you manage business well, eventually your work that you put in can be making money for you.
That's true.
While providing new job opportunities for those upcoming. And not to hijack it too much, because this is mostly Eric's insights that I'm just making sure that we get on here because it's so helpful for coaches, is like with CrossFit. I remember sometimes there would be so many CrossFits when I would go to, like when I went to college, I was picking from like 3 different CrossFits I could drive to.
Right.
They were the only places that had sled. So I would try to go get a CrossFit membership. And I was picking between 3 that were all like a similar drive for me. So yeah, there's some smart on the ATG side. There's some smart stuff on our part, not to allow people to get too close to each other. But you could build up and have something that's running pretty smoothly. I think it was kind of being proven when COVID hit for us, and it was just blowing up online so much. We just went with that. The final factor being
that was what happened.
It was blowing up so much, but our gym was like booming. It was hot. People wanted personal training.
The classes were full. The women's classes was full.
Moms, kids. Marcel was running a class with kids down to 5 years old.
Yeah.
We were having grandparents come in and they're like, I heard that I could do this class.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, you can.
Yep.
So our whole community, all different ages.
Like the talk of the town. And it spread really by word of mouth. It was really...
probably the worst thing I've done was shut that gym down. I mean, just in terms of it, people still come up to me and they're really bummed that I shut it down.
Thankfully, we're going to fix that.
No regrets. We're going to fix it. Well, yeah, Alyssa and I are putting a gym again.
That's right.
Locally.
Yep.
We're going to use it as a proving ground. Eric's going to be doing his own proving ground, helping mentor young coaches. But just kind of walk me through that, like, things that could go right.
Sure. Right. Of course, yes, the silver lining. So ultimately, early in this journey, I thought I should consider myself no different than a lawyer or an accountant or any other service provider that, makes a good living. Like there's all the accountants in this area and all the dentists, they're all doing fine unless they're, completely awful at what they do. So, and my lawyer, I don't know what he charges lately, but he was charging $4.95 an hour. So like, why is that? Well, if I have $1 million problem, spending $100,000 on legal services is a really good deal because I stand to lose a lot of money. Well, similarly, if I've got a catastrophic health outcome or if I've got some problematic thing that I need solved and no one can help me, because, a lot of times people turn to fitness and they're like, well, I'll just look it up on YouTube. I'll just go to the gym, whatever it is. And some people spin their wheels enough, they get fed up and they're like, look, I want to take this off my plate. I want to free up my brain bandwidth. I have the resources. I want to fix this. So approaching it as a problem solver, as a consultant, as no different than you would as if you went to a lawyer for legal counsel or an accountant for accounting, financial consult. I have a financial manager, not because I couldn't look it up on YouTube for free. It's out there. Because I want the problem solved and I don't want to think about it. And I pay him, I don't know, some percentage of my portfolio, and I haven't even done the math, but it's probably a number that I would be uncomfortable with if I knew what it was beyond a percentage, but I don't have to think about it. Yep. And all of my clients rely on me for that. That I think shift in mindset is critical because, and this is going to sound weird to vocalize, but I think there's an important lesson here in that if you foist fitness and health stuff upon people that don't really want it to begin with, there is no price too low that will make them satisfied.
Wow, that is a good way to say that.
So I have come to the conclusion that it's not like I don't want to help people in need. It's not like I don't want to help people that, maybe don't make a ton of money or whatever it is. But by and large, I have found that the people who check those boxes I talked about, they have a problem, they want it solved, they have the resources, they find me, they get their problem solved, they tell all their friends. That continuum has allowed me to be successful as a one-on-one coach. And then in time, if I want to offer up like, okay, I'm going to have one slot that's like more community service oriented, or maybe I go volunteer at a local high school team that's, they don't have a strength coach, whatever, right? Yeah. There's always ways that you can kind of go back and do that. But if you do it the other way and you try and help everyone, you try and help your sister and your cousin and that friend and all these people who are hurting and suffering, which I have done, and I've done it for free, for low cost, for we'll trade. And
Ben has done all these too. So
I think right you just there with figured you. Something out.
Yeah. Okay. It's just
because I'm obsessed with step by step. Like I'm obsessed with, I'd rather have a step-by-step, even if it's not perfect, than have no step-by-step. Yeah. Like with exercise, like I'm obsessed with step-by-step. Because I remember being enthusiastic about training people.
Yeah.
But I was not yet in demand as a master of my craft, like supply and demand. I did not yet have a demand for my personal training services.
Yep.
So if I was going to do a gym again, which we are, and in my case, I got lucky and the demand actually like exploded in different ways, and we actually made a group out of it so that other people can be doing this, and it is what it is. But if I was making a gym again, I would have gotten myself in demand as a personal trainer first, become a master of what I'm doing. Then in opening a gym, not coach the classes. I'm still there for personal training. And then these up and coming coaches who are not yet in demand as personal trainers, right? But who are enthusiastic and who are great coaches.
That's interesting.
Like I was actually a great coach starting out. I just wasn't like in demand yet for my personal training services.
It's how you get a lot of reps. Coaching a group class, you get a lot of reps. So I've seen a lot of stuff. Yeah. And by the way, this is exactly how CrossFit actually started. Greg Glassman was just a personal trainer. And then he ran out of time in his day. So he's like, well, what if I put 2 people into this hour? And what if I put 10 people into this hour?
Wow.
That's how it all started. And the small difference is he exported that to now affiliates. Okay, you can go open up your own thing and do what I do. Yeah. But that was kind of the limit of the guidance, and it never really grew from there. So it was just kind of like, hey, go out and do this thing. Yeah. And, there's opportunity to learn from that.
100%.
So you, Eric Williams, you start a gym. You're a personal trainer. Up and coming enthusiastic ATG level 1 and 2 coaches are like, oh, boom, I can go there and run classes.
Yep.
Which, not to crap on you guys, like you can make good money running classes.
Yeah.
Because we're now not talking about where you're personal training at $75 and then the gym takes $50 from you or something. We're talking about you actually get valued on your service now. You crush a class. Mm-hmm. We're having 15, 16, 17 women come through these classes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you're actually like, you get to prove yourself. You think you're a good coach?
Right.
You're actually going to start making personal training money per class if people want to train with you.
Right. If they like you,
and you
they'll
can
come
really
back.
find out, like, is this something you want to do? And you'll start to get in demand for your own personal training services. Mm-hmm. So before Eric knows it, in our optimistic view of it,
yep.
Eric is now managing his gym, spending as much time as he wants with his kids, while a few personal trainers are making good money while making him and his gym money. Mm-hmm. While even newer up and coming coaches are running the classes that those personal trainers once ran. And so it's either
But
class.
I really like what you said, though. You can almost intern being a trainer by running classes to see if you like it, to see if you want to branch out into a business, you know, to see, do people like you even? You know, it's such a good idea rather than just jumping and opening a business and all of a sudden being like, okay, no one knows I'm a personal trainer. No one knows.
And that's where most of us start.
Right.
Open a gym. Because we're enthusiastic
exactly.
about it. So it's almost like a vicious cycle where it's like enthusiastic about it means I jump the gun.
Right, exactly.
If you're not enthusiastic enough to open a gym, it's a catch-22.
Correct.
Like, if you're enthusiastic enough to want to open a gym, you probably jump the gun. For me, it was because I didn't want to go work for somebody else and be told you can't do the knee over toe exercise. You can't. No, like I wanted a place where no one was going to tell me what I could do, and I could create my own style. And we created our own style, and I got all that experience. But guess what? I was the gym owner too.
Yeah.
No. I could have gotten all that experience running classes, building them up, which we did.
And now, thankfully, because of you, there's a whole new opportunity that people can do knees over toes in places like Eric's gym and other places that will welcome it. You want to do this class? Go. So, you know, if people want to do it, they'll sign up. And if you get results, they'll keep coming back. Yeah. But yeah, in your defense, you didn't even have that chance.
Yeah. Well, and in CrossFit, you can do the weekend cert. And like, if you get accepted, you can open a gym. Mm-hmm. So like, that's fast turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're simply saying, like, on one hand, that's freaking awesome that you can open a gym so fast. However, from us having gone through it, the new step one is before you consider opening a gym, you're in demand at good money per hour.
Yeah.
That's not normally. It's like, oh, you're enthusiastic, you start a gym, and no. You get yourself in demand first.
Yep.
That's so smart.
So
that's how any successful person honestly should take it. They should build up a clientele and then be able to open their office.
That's
or
how the
do
lawyer
this.
works.
Right, exactly.
Typically you get the experience.
Or even
you
a chef or something, or the best this, you know, you know what you're doing. Yep. People like your recipes, and then you go off and make your restaurant.
Yeah, but as trainers, we're like, nah, weekend cert, let's do this. I got this.
Let's sign a lease. Like we.
Yeah, it's a little too real. And one of the weird things that happened was, you know, there was a period of time, maybe like 2014 to 2017. If you went to CrossFit.com, you would see all the certs they were doing in a given weekend. And sometimes, you know, like multiple days in the week. And they would have multiple pictures, multiple locations with 60 people there. Just an enormous influx of coaches.
Wow.
But there was still a labor shortage. So right now, one of the number one questions that pop up in some of these forums I'm a part of is, hey, how do you guys find new coaches? That is pretty critical to what we just discussed, but the problem has been solved is a strong word, but the problem has been at least meaningfully approached by way of having a army of coaches that are already there, who are somewhat young and free, that many of them have, as I understand it, relocated here in order to pursue their coaching dreams, where a lot of times what ends up happening in especially the CrossFit space is like, well, just take one of your members and train them to be a coach if they're really interested in it. And it's like, without getting into the weeds, there's a lot of problems with that, as opposed to, you know, the folks I see here who are essentially intending to be long-term, lifelong, solely dedicated coaches, not coaches and busboys and part-time lawyers and, you know, and so on, to like kind of cobble together this living. That is a oft overlooked issue with scaling this whole thing to begin with, is the labor pool is really small, and there aren't really people like when hiring a coach would be like, I put out an ad and I would get somebody who's like, oh, I've taught Zumba classes. I'm like, well, that's wonderful, but what does that have to do with what we're doing here?
Right.
It's not really a nascent skill set. So there's a lot of problems, and the coaching and the labor supply thing is one of maybe, I don't know, 40. If we had infinite time, we'd come up with all the problems of how to run a gym. But at the beginning phase, it's sort of this idea of be in demand, refine your skills, solve problems, repeat.
Yeah. That's pretty rad. And it's going to be a slow process, because to get through our levels takes, for most people, it's going to take some years to really master all this stuff. And that means you've already got experience now coaching other people on this stuff before you would even get to the point of now getting experience at some ATG gym to now really get your feet wet. I mean, it's like the level of competence that has to be there in this process. Now, it's realistic. I'm not saying it's not some impossible thing, but it's not quick.
That's right. But it also doesn't have to take years. I mean,
yeah, depending on how hard someone works at it.
Exactly.
But it means
and how much they already know.
Yeah.
Eric's coming from 11 years having a CrossFit gym.
But there's some confidence that like people visit who are a level 2 coach or something, and it's like sometimes these people are like hitting me like mark for mark on all this stuff. Like, oh, I'm supposed to be the king of all this. Most people get through level 2s are like have some absurd result, and will show you like the same life-changing success stories that you see me getting. Like these are like, you get to level 2, you're already probably changing a bunch of lives. Like that's pretty cool that if you could hire someone to come in, if Eric owns an ATG and if he knows that he's bringing someone in and that means they're already like a really good coach, you'll get some bad seeds here or there anywhere in this world in anything. But for the most part, it's pretty stunning the kind of people that you're going to find who go through that.
For sure.
Well, I'm amazed at your whole story in general. Eric, to me, seems like one of the brightest people I've ever met. Just in the conversations that I've had with you, you blow me away every single time by just the amount and absurd amount of knowledge that you have, and that you're so dedicated to the truth. The truth, actually. You don't skirt things. You don't fluff it up. You don't fluff it up for your own benefit. You don't fluff it up for other people's benefit. You just say the truth. And I feel that Ben and I have gained a lot from your truth and your past that have actually helped us navigate and not make mistakes. And I think that you're going to be one of the best assets to ATG going forward, for gyms to spread, for coaches to have jobs at gyms because of your past. The goods and the bads.
Yeah,
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm 100% serious. I mean, Ben hears me talk about you, and I do so much more of the back end of the business, and I'm not really involved so much with the people, the real people that he's seeing on a day-to-day messaging in the Pulse chat, whatever. And you are someone I consistently bring up, right, babe? That I'm just blown away. And I've only talked to you a couple times, and the different messages back and forth, emails and proposals that you've sent, that, you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. We appreciate being here. The current style of level 3 means you have to like come visit HQ and hang out with me, because I don't know what else to have for that level 3 right now. Although in the future, I think it'll be a lot simpler, because you'll actually be going to an ATG, seeing if that's something you want to do, crushing the results, like showing, hey, I'm getting this many people to show up to my classes, or maybe even getting to where, oh yeah, I've personally trained this many people. At the moment, like that future doesn't exist.
Yep.
But for people out there to know, like the reason we're talking about this stuff is because the demand from people out there for ATG locations is there. It's like the most steady thing that people are disappointed. That's like, man, I wish there was one near me. But when I went to Eric, like, hey, look at this, people want ATGs. And he's like, yeah, but the coach has to make a good living. Like, how's that going to work out? Like,
right.
And it's like, oh my God. Like,
and for it to not take away from our online business, what's so interesting that I have realized is they're actually two different types of people. So I would never sign up for an online program.
Right.
That's just me. And Ben knows that. Like, I also would never sign up for a company that you can't call. I finally got a phone number. I've been begging Ben for years and years and years to have a phone number. I want to talk to someone. Like, I don't write to anyone. Like, if I can't call you, I just don't talk to you. So.
And I'm different. I don't call.
Yeah, he won't call anyone. He won't even answer the phone. So he only texts or writes. So, basically, they're just two different types of people. There's the person that wants to go to the gym. They want the community. They want the music. They want the vibe. They want to chat. They want to get their, I don't even know, green tea, matcha teas, whatever afterwards. Like, clearly I don't order that because I don't even know how to say it. But like, that's like the fun community. And and that's what I would be a part of if I was going to be going to a class, not the online, okay, I'm going to look at it, and do it and send it to someone. But I think it's so cool because it actually can make ATG expand to the world now. Like 100%. We had it just for this niche here, but now we can actually broaden it into the people that want the social environment through ATG.
100%. And I would even argue, and this is the kind of thinking that I always go to in terms of like, okay, the problem solving and the nuance in between each of the layers. I'd argue there's like 8 different kinds of people.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I agree with you. No, I agree. I'm just at least saying online versus not online. But yes.
Sure. Well, and this may be more for the getting in the weeds for the coaches there, but you have, like somebody who doesn't exercise. That's someone to consider. Somebody who's contemplating exercise but hasn't done it yet. Somebody who's contemplating exercise but wouldn't do it by themselves because they're embarrassed. Yeah. And so on and so on and so on.
100%.
And in the middle, you have this weird hybrid of folks where it's like, I want some guidance, but not a lot. So I want you to give me stuff and I'm gonna go do it on my own. And then you have some people who all the way at the end, they want you to completely absolve them from all thinking and responsibility and they will pay the premium for that.
Yeah.
So it's always been like, well, which sections are you capturing? Yeah. And a lot of times, unfortunately, we go all the way to the person who is not exercising and be like, I need to change their lives and I will do anything it takes. So it's like, this is basically the thought problem of where do you exist on that continuum? Where does online exist? Where does the gym kind of take over? Obviously, there's concentric circles that overlap, but kind of maybe more speaking to the coaches out there of like being really clear about where you sit in those different spaces and who you're going to service is like mission critical to actually doing this long term.
100%. I think of everything I heard you say today, that is the most important. Right. Just who's your public? Who are you trying to help? Just like as clear as day. And then you can focus in on that crowd also. Then you know who to market to, how to word your marketing, anyway, I think that was outstanding.
Yeah. And I think you can build and expand. There's so much potential we can do with tech. It's possible that someone will have the gym and they'll have classes going, they'll have personal training going. Yeah. Their gym will make so many results, they'll even have demand from gym goers who then move or tell their friends or whatever to do their online programming that we can facilitate way better if we make such a thing than the existing app software out there.
Right.
Since we know what we're doing with this. That's why we made our own app, which is just light years better than the existing stuff on the market. So I think there's so many different kinds, variables. We should be able to supply it all.
And ideally, the person can have the goal that they can hit all the markets, all 8 that you just named there. If they're super, there shouldn't be that they can't service one or the other, but
they could break up their time what they like best.
Correct.
Maybe Eric's like, I love coaching the classes. Like I'm more like, I envision myself more having our local HQ. People are doing all of the things. I get to do my stuff, making videos and pop in and run some classes because I like it. Not even because I have to, just because I like that style.
Yeah.
So it's cool. So there's a lot of bright stuff, but I think it's important to know the dark side before you even look on the bright side, because this is even just in this podcast. Okay, new system. You want to make an ATG? 2025 is right around the corner. I think Alyssa and I are going to pull the trigger and allow it. But step 1, does Eric think that you are an in-demand personal trainer? We're going to have these honest conversations, right? Because we don't want someone to open ATG who's then going to struggle. We want if you're going to do it, we want you to succeed. We want you to be happy. We want you to be able to raise a family.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm fighting for more than anyone.
Yeah.
I want like the person to actually make it, because otherwise it also just waters down our ATG name, which is so important. So we want you to succeed more than anyone. We do. Not your neighbor, not your mom. We do.
Well, we could go quicker. Just anyone do a 2-day course and start a gym.
Yeah.
And we could make a bunch of money much quicker.
Yeah, but that's also not what we're
Where are we going to be 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that stands out there, and this is exactly where my gym experience went, and I saw a lot of small differences here, is if the overarching brand were to burn down, does your gym survive? Because if the wind in your sails of knees over toes guy pushing people towards you is the only thing that allows you to succeed, and if you got tired of this or something happened to you, or you just decide, I'm checking out and moving to Bali or whatever it is, and all of a sudden your gym closes, well, that would be a bad fit for a person to run a gym, because it was predicated on sort of like falsely propping up in the system. And that happens, unfortunately, a lot in the CrossFit gyms, is when things change, people are like, but it was this way and we liked it this way. But you need to be able to stand on your own two legs, and de-affiliating become, kind of this like new normal in terms of people like breaking out for the brand, and you have to be able to stand on your own two legs.
Yeah.
So not planning for that future, but understanding that you have to be at least that good if it were to happen. Otherwise, your gym probably won't succeed.
Yeah.
Right. That's very true.
But it's true. We should work so well for someone that is going to make a gym that we would be confident that even if they said, "See you later, ATG.
Yeah.
I'm now Carl's gym," we'd be like, "Dope.
Yeah.
You have a great community gym. We're confident that you're going to succeed." Like,
right.
That's the way about it.
Totally. I think that's the way for true success. You got to have a wanted gym with or without a name behind it of ours.
Yeah. Yeah. And we got to do it in a way that we can feel honest with what we're doing.
100%.
So, I'm hyped for the future. Our main man, Forrest, behind the camera, keeps us posted on the time.
That's right.
So I know we're almost at that 40-minute mark.
Yep.
So that, we try to keep it under 40 so you can go catch a workout and listen to the whole thing and have not missed anything. So I guess this would be the time. I definitely didn't miss anything, but if there's anything else that you guys want to cover before it wraps up.
I could talk about this stuff for hours, so it seems just as well to stop it here.
Good. Well, with
good.
these future L3s, you will talk about it with Eric and see where it goes.
There you go. Thank you so much for coming
being here.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Special times in this early stage.
Yeah.
So, see you later.